guys, so it's been a pretty long time since the last update. Just with Christmas and everything, I haven't had a chance to really get out here and do much, but it is what it is. So far what we have, I created a CAD model of the uh, idea for the hydraulic handbrake. So I'm gonna make a couple pieces. Actually, let me go over and show you what the model looks like. Okay, so this is what the model looks like so far. It uses 2x2 L channel that I'll be able to cut down, as well as a piece of 3-inch wide plate. So that should allow me to use the handbrake handle that I was given. That's kind of cool, and then use a sideways mounted Willwood Master. So I've got the dimensions out, and then now I'll see if I can do my best at actually creating this and turning it into a real product. We'll see. All right, so now we have cut most of the pieces. We just have to open the holes a little bit, but it's starting to come out a little bit, so that's pretty good. I think it's gonna be pretty hefty. I was worried about it being a little bit too weak, but I think it's 1/8 inch material for the L's, and then I think it may be even 3/8 on that base plate. So that's looking pretty good. Hopefully I have enough room. I thought I was gonna put some bolts in on the sides here to help mount it to the car. Hopefully that works. Worst case scenario, I can always weld it in, but you know, this, I think it should be only about 2.1 inches tall. So hopefully I can tuck that in a place where all you see is the handle coming out inside of the car. So let's get back at it. All right, guys, I guess I messed up. Somehow, this ended up being 0.2 of an inch shorter than it was supposed to be. So it's supposed to be like, the whole height is like 1.7, or it's supposed to be like 1.9 and it's 1.7. So it doesn't work. So I'm trying to figure out what the best thing to do here is. I'm thinking I should just go ahead and completely remake these two pieces. They were kind of a pain to make, like kind of the most important ones to make, but I've got a lot of extra material, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and just do that, because any sort of design to space them up isn't really going to work very well since it's quite a bit low. So there's not a whole lot I think I can get away with. So I guess back to it. To remake these two things just a hair bit larger. Maybe I'm gonna make them in a different order or something. Try to make them easier to make. All right, so I'm not really sure where I left off, but I ended up having to remake these two pieces because I didn't get the height right. So now that's fixed. I did have to redo another one because I just like forgot where it went, but I just cut it wrong, got confused with which direction all my cuts were going, and then also had to remake this piece because I ended up cutting it too short. Not sure where my math went wrong there, but we're kind of all together now, so just whatever bolts I could find. I had to notch out this part since it just barely clears. So now that should work there. I'm not liking how tight it is to this boot. It's pretty much touching the boot everywhere. But I don't have a whole lot of room with these this hardware to the edge here without flipping them all the way around the other way. But then I just run into the same issue going the opposite side. Just because there's not a whole lot of clearance on the flange to the master cylinder itself. But this is pretty good height-wise. Should be right at, trying to do this and film at the same time, it's kind of hard. So right at 2.1 to the very top, which I think that should sit underneath the center console, so that the center console I think is like 2.5 inches. So it should sit like that to the center console. So all that you'll see is the handle, and then like a little notch for the handle itself to actuate on, and then the rest of it's going to be completely hidden, which is going to be sick. And you know, change the master. I'll probably end up changing the master. This is a 0.625 master, I believe. It's like written on it somewhere. And I've seen a lot of people running 0.75s. This handle has a pretty high ratio on it. Like it's probably 10 or 11 to 1 if you're holding the top. So yeah, definitely may get a new one of those. So I'm gonna see how much time, I'm not really sure what time it is now, but if I have some more time, I may just go ahead and tack this together. You know, if I decide to go a different route, I can either cut the tacks or make a whole new piece. But you know, because I'm still on the fence on how this is looking so far, but we'll see where we're at. Maybe tack it together, fit it in the car, and then see what that looks like. Cool. All right, guys, quick update. So I didn't quite like how the other design was going. It seemed a bit bulky and heavy and not very efficient. So I came up with this design. So I basically took an L. So I have a 2" by 2" L that I've been making everything out of. And then just laid it flat, put the hole in, went to the edges. These are just little 1" wide pieces that I've welded in. I had to tack weld it so it held together, just so I could kind of understand what it looked like, but it more or less works. They flare out a little bit because the width of this isn't the same as this width here. So it's looking pretty good. The only thing that I haven't quite figured out is what I'm gonna do in order to get some actual like good weld here, because there's not a whole lot of kind of material or area to put a weld bead. It's all super tight. I should have made these bigger, is really what it is. So maybe I'll just end up making these a little bit larger, kind of use some of this area for support as well as up here. So I wouldn't want that breaking off, because right now, like, you can't really, if there was a hex head in here, you wouldn't really be able to get any weld. Like, definitely not here. You'd probably be able to get a tack up there and then be able to weld at the bottom, but that's really about it. So I may need to revisit that a little bit, but overall it's looking pretty good. Super low profile. I mean, this is this piece right here is just kind of almost scraping the bottom of this main piece. They're not actually really connected at all right now, so I may change that. I may make a little weld-in piece at the bottom to tie the two halves together. But I'm gonna end up riv nutting it to the chassis So there, it should be plenty stiff in the end. But yeah, so far that's looking pretty good. We'll just have to figure out a couple small things. Sweet.